So despite the amazing player record on Starbit on PC, we got journalists literally shitting on the game, basically. So we're gonna watch this video. I'll put the video in the description in case you guys wanna watch it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So, over the past year or so in the gaming industry, there's been a lot of reaping and sowing, both good and bad. And a lot of games that pandered and virtue signaled and spent more time caring about what screechers on Twitter might think, well, they failed. We also saw some examples of games that just wanted to provide a good experience with appealing character designs, and they succeeded. And one of those games that released last year was Stellar Blade, released back in April of that
Bruh,
year.
Starbit
And
did
it
so
had
well.
enormous levels of success and was a huge hit for Shift Up and Sony. Now, here we are in the year 2025 in June, and they just had their PC release.
Starbit is so good. I don't know what people are talking about, but Starbit, I've been playing Starbit over the past like few days. Like
Now,
Starbit is
many
doing
of the
so good right
journalists who are
now.
still fuming about this game and doing everything in their power to kill the hype, you can see PC Games N here giving a
Oh
paltry
god, I heard
6
about
out
this
of 10,
PC games.
saying this game is basically very underwhelming and boring. But of course, even IGN had to eventually admit that this PC release
If IGN is saying this about this, you know that they did a good job.
was a massive, massive success. The PC version of Stellar Blade is already Sony's biggest single-player Steam launch ever. And the numbers look insane. Right now in the middle of the afternoon, a few days into
142,000 players. Holy crap. That's a lot of players. Oh my god. Yeah, I was expecting more than that, but it's gonna get higher because it's Sunday, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a lot more players.
to the PC release, you can see over 140,000 in-game PC players, despite the 6 out of 10 from that previous journalist. The Steam review percentage is 92%. If you look at the charts, it's actually gaining
God
momentum
damn.
over the past couple of days. All of these numbers just fly in the face of all the excuses various
Almost
shills have
200,000.
provided for other games. We heard this with Dragon Age the Veilguard and Assassin's Creed Shadows, where Steam DB charts, they don't matter. They're not real numbers because they're releasing the game on multiple platforms, so these numbers aren't reliable. And of course, both of those games failed financially and really just proved the people relying on the charts correct. But here, this game releases on PC after releasing on console over a year ago and has numbers that crushed those two previous games that I just mentioned. On top of that, like I said, a year later, think about a different example with Star Wars Outlaws that had a Steam release very shortly after its initial release, which a lot of people were surprised by. That wasn't seemingly the plan. But even then, after a much shorter window between the releases, their Steam numbers were in the few thousand. Okay, and that's despite being
Yeah, I heard Star Wars Outlaws like flopped. Well, PC numbers, it flopped. The game wasn't that great, in my opinion. It was like freaking, what do you call it? Like a Splinter Cell version of Star Wars.
a major AAA release from a beloved franchise. Now, of course, these numbers seem undeniable. Even the shills cannot deny this. The journalists have to accept the reality that this PC launch was a major success. So what do they do now? They seethe. Here's Vice taking a break from their
Thirsty
journalists
fan. Oh my gosh.
and VTubers to
Thirsty
break
fan
this
base,
news, saying,
really?
Stellar Blade PC launch breaks Steam sales records thanks to its thirsty fan base. Stellar Blade is breaking numbers, largely being fueled by its thirsty fan base. Yes,
Thirsty fan base.
by thirsty players. That's what Vice has to say. And of course, the people at Shift Up disagree. They think the biggest reason for the success is its combat. Now, of course, nobody is blind here. The appealing character design
That's part of it.
and
The combat's amazing, the soundtrack is amazing,
contained in Stellar Blade
the character is lovable.
contributed to its success. A lot of people were happy to see it, but that is not the end-all be-all of a game success like this. clearly a lot of people really enjoyed the gameplay and the combat. Clearly, to minimize all of this just to appealing character designs and thirsty players is a gigantic cope. We've seen other games lean heavily into appealing character designs with a lot of fan service, perhaps even more than Stellar Blade, and one example is the first Descendant, which right now, despite being a live service game that's free to play, has numbers that have really floundered. They got off to a really good start, but things changed really quickly, and they really haven't recovered in any sort of a significant way because the gameplay just doesn't connect with people as much.
I heard Tencent's gonna buy off the first Descendant.
But things would get worse.
Don't know if it's true or not.
Is very upset about this. Probably more
Gunner Game of the Year. Wow. Gunner Game of the Year, bruh.
They came up with this saying, Gunner Game of the Year, Stellar Blade's mods are 41% smut, ensuring gamers will never see.
Oh my god.
Don't you love it when PC Gamer tells you you're never gonna see the light of heaven?
Bro, who wrote this article?
Stellar Blade. And the way they describe this game is ridiculous. The Gunner Game. Okay?
Gunner Game of the Year. Who wrote this article? Like, for real.
Work with Grok here to compare the number of intercourse scenes in all of these games versus the Gunner games like Stellar Blade. Dragon Age the Veilguard, 7. Mass Effect 3, 6 to 8. Cyberpunk 2077, 4 to 6. And so on and so forth. Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age Inquisition, God of War. And then Stellar Blade at the bottom with 0. Goose Egg. And yet this is the Gunner game. Not Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Gunner game.
On this list.
Wow.
It's just Stellar Blade. Because, well, these journalists
this is sad that you lost.
Like this game and what it stands for, just being a product designed for gamers, and they're just seething about its success. Now, going to the article itself, it gets even more ridiculous as you read through. So they say stuff like this. Stellar Blade finally hit PC 2 days ago, giving everyone a chance to do whatever it is this game is actually about. Unfortunately, no one knows what that is because the entirety of discourse surrounding it is about the main character's butt.
Bro, are you Bro.
You're the one limiting this entire game to its fan service and the appeal of its character designs. This is not something that no one knows what it's about.
Her butt's got nothing to do with this.
Including millions of people. They know because they play through the game, and clearly PC Gamer hasn't bothered. They don't know what this game's
yeah, whoever wrote this article has not touched Stellar Blade.
Now going down,
they would know what how the combat is.
And they say, by intense scientific calculus counting, fully 96 of the 234
They probably, yeah. I'm pretty sure whoever made this article was just looking at random stuff on Twitter just to see what they would come up with. Literally. They didn't even play the game.
Some of the ones that are not
clearly
as adult are probably not safe for work. How do you feel about Eve Feet Hands? Good? Would you discuss that with your grandparents over Christmas dinner?
Oh my god.
Why would you talk about not safe?
Who would talk about this in Christmas dinner, like, bruh?
Grandparents over Christmas. What a stupid thing to say.
That is not something you would want to talk about. Literally.
Your grandparents at Christmas?
What the hell is this article?
I also think there's other articles that this person has wrote that they definitely would not be sharing with their grandparents over Christmas. Look at the name here. Joshua Wallens. Well, let's look back to September of 2024. Not even a year ago. They made an entire article about
oh my gosh.
Bare intercourse scene.
I heard about this article.
To spreading the message of the game. I kid you not. Would you share this with your grandparents
brother
at Christmas dinner? I don't think so, dude. And you're a massive hypocrite. This is the person telling you you're not going to see the pearly gates.
This is the guy that wrote the damn Stellar Blade article.
Act like this not even a year ago. It's complete hypocrisy.
Bashing on BG3 because of a bear set scene? Really?
Complete and utter joke.
Brother.
Now there's some more people upset about the success of Stellar Blade. Some people are still coping on Steam and they're trying to leave negative reviews. Look at some of these.
Oh god.
Let's start here. The male gaze and objectification of women. Eve's hypersexualized appearance, skin-tight outfits, exaggerated body proportions, and voyeuristic camera work are a major selling point of the game and reflects a design rooted in the male gaze. When a woman's strength is constantly filtered through her sex appeal, her power becomes conditional and it's acceptable only if it's visually pleasing to a presumed male gaze. Ultimately, Stellar Blade reinforces the idea that women should appeal to the male gaze.
What the hell is this review?
Again, I always love when people bring up the camera work. You control the camera, buddy. Okay, if you're
I like how it says porn game. Like, bro, it's not a porn game, buddy.
This is not shocking, and also
very impressive. My God.
Designs. Women do too, and I love people like this who
bro, people are delusional.
They basically say, "There's no way you actually like this game clearly because it's so designed for the male gaze," which is so backwards. It's like peak male feminist energy. We see it all the time. But here's another one saying, "Mod to make it less sexual."
Mod to make it less sexual.
Clowns, etc. I've heard great things about the gameplay. I'm a huge fan of this genre. I would love to play, but I generally can't enjoy or get into a game as blatantly sexual as this. This person wants a mod to tone down this game. Just buy another game.
Bro, just play a different game if you're gonna be complaining about that.
Morally or whatever, that's fine. But no one's gonna make a mod to tone this down for you.
Bro, no one's gonna make a mod to turn down the sexual for this game. If you don't like the game, just play a different game. Don't even bother. Just like, if you don't like how sexualized this game is, then this game is clearly not for you.
Just be realistic here. But there were some more talks about the mods for this game. Apparently the Shift Up CEO has shared his view on mods, basically saying a lot of them are still pretty limited. And he basically is challenging these modders to do better, to go further, I guess. And he's looking forward to more mods that not just target outfits and things like that, but also change the way that the game is enjoyed. So this is a pretty healthy reaction in my opinion, especially when...
I love when game devs like support mods.
So many developers just go crazy over mods. They get so angry. We've seen multiple companies try to do their best to take down mods, to discourage people from making mods, to, of course, alter their single-player experience that's not hurting any other player other than themselves. But anyway,
you know what else like?
People are also trying to downplay these numbers. You can see the journalist here, Paul Tassi, talked about him pretty recently. He said, the Stellar Blade curve is interesting as you can see just how Asia-focused it is. Prime gaming time in the West is pretty
it's a Korean company.
And then they say in parentheses, tweet screenshot prevention. I am not saying this is bad. Then why are you bringing it up? This is such an obvious point. Everyone understands this game sold the best in Asia. That's where the studio is. Like, of course it's going to sell the best there. We went through the same exact thing with Black Myth Wukong, where people try to downplay, you know, millions of concurrent players by saying,
company is literally Asian, like, buddy.
The East went to bed. Yeah, no kidding, dude. That's the region that they focused on the most. Duh. This is just a stupid, petty thing.
This is like, this is a dumb take.
These numbers that are incredibly impressive, even in the West.
The game company
now, of course,
is in Asia.
Who has tried to downplay this game from the get-go back in last year, saying Stellar Blade is now the highest user-scored PS5 game ever, which is a bit excessive. Why? It's not up to you. It's up to the players to decide that. But now they've come full circle, saying 10 things I wish I knew when I started Stellar Blade 2025 PC Edition, where he is largely praising the game. It's pretty funny. He also shared an article from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, sharing the reasons why Dragon Age the Veilguard failed. And
I didn't even play Veilguard, but I heard how bad it was, reviewers wise.
Dragon Age the Veilguard, which is always some weird set of comparisons, but I guess, like I said, a lot of people make excuses for the Steam DB numbers of Veilguard when it came out, and now they're not making any sort of comment about that when it comes to Stellar Blade. Now we have, of course, Jason Schreier.
Never played Veilguard.
He was one who infamously tried
I didn't hear all the complaints about it.
Proverbial football on this one, where he said, "Go woke, go top the charts." showing the first day results of
Jesus Christ.
and at the time it was 58,000 concurrent players, where someone said, "There's no way you genuinely liked this turd," where he said, "I actually don't like the game very much, but I do like seeing you chuds get dunked on." This is a full-grown man.
Oh, he does look like a full-grown man, actually. Look at his profile picture.
To dunk on them with a game that ultimately failed and caused massive layoffs over at BioWare. But this is the article itself. This is a screenshot. I am not giving any support to Bloomberg. So you can see inside the Dragon Age debacle that gutted EA's BioWare studio. And basically said they went through 10 years of development turmoil. And here's a summation, some of the highlights of that article, saying there was a lot of immense pressure to succeed after the failure of Anthem, which, yeah, I could see that.
Anthem, rest in peace, Anthem.
The original concept
Only feels good.
Single player experience, then EA forced a pivot to a multiplayer live service format. Creative director resigned over the shift, and then you can see Anthem's failure in 2019 raised internal doubts about repeating mistakes. The pandemic just complicated things. In 2020, the project was abruptly pivoted back to single player, which,
oh my gosh,
if it was a live service multiplayer, dude,
sounds like they did. Oh god, if it was multiplayer, people would lose their shit about it.
18 months to overhaul the
If Dragon Ball Vega was multiplayer, people would lose their minds.
Multiple delays. Feedback from the alpha testing in 2022 pointed to a lack of
new Mass Effect game project.
BioWare brought in a second team to help finish the game. We already kind of knew that. The cultural clashes over the team caused a lot of issues. Some of the Mass Effect leaders rewrote and added new scenes, including the game's emotional finale. Dragon Age leads were frustrated, denied resources, and excluded from key meetings. The online multiplayer version's snarky tone felt outdated. Concerns it would resemble Forspoken led to last-minute dialogue.
Forspoken.
The dialogue was actually worse originally. That's pretty hard to believe, okay? But looking at BioWare's future, contributes around 5% of EA's annual revenue. EA primarily profits from sports and shooter games, and yada, yada, yada. So you get it. There was a lot going on, and honestly, a lot of it was just internal confusion, changing of the direction of this game multiple times, reverting giant pivots, like going from single player to multiplayer,
Jesus,
going back. That's obviously pretty hard to deal with, and bringing in multiple teams to try to
that is really hard.
Tweak the dialogue as much as humanly possible.
Single player to multiplayer and then back to single player.
Talks about the internal issues, but doesn't talk about the optics. This game just had the worst optics ever. Everyone knows this who's being honest about it.
Holy shit.
1,000?
Holy crap.
The story was impacted.
That's nothing. Holy shit, dude, that's bad.
Some people working at BioWare, at least some of the people.
That's not a lot of people playing.
Don't explain this away with all the excuses we've heard, and you can just look at the numbers. I mean,
I can't imagine what it looks like on console.
Again, this just doesn't explain everything. Just looking at the article, clearly the optics of this were really bad. And of course, there was explanations for this. Some people brought up that YouTubers designating this game as woke was one of the reasons it failed. And Paul Tassi said, it's easy to push back on this, but when the woke debates consume literally an entire online marketing campaign, that can in fact be damaging. And yes, Asmongold trashing something does actually matter now, like it or not. Not that you should cater to that, but it's where we are.
Bro, Asmongold trashed this game.
Asmongold have an impact, but at the end of the day, a lot of people, not everyone watches Asmongold. Like, he's very popular, but like, you have to understand the giant normie market for a Dragon Age IP. A lot of them did not see his review or any review from YouTubers. And on top of that, we were told over and over again that YouTubers and anyone with a platform criticizing this game, irrelevant. You didn't matter. And now all of a sudden, people like Asmongold are so powerful they control markets. And down here basically says, I disagree. And here
Asmongold should not have control over the marketing, but
it's a loud minority.
what the hell?
Game fails purely because it's woke, not this, not Concord, or whatever you're going to reference. All of these games also have real issues.
Concord.
That, obviously. And he's getting clowned on and criticized pretty hard for this. Trying to downplay this stuff and say it's the loud minority that's causing games to fail. Where is the silent majority? Where are they? Because if they existed, they would show up. This is not some gigantic leap of faith to go out and buy a video game you like. If you're interested in, you're hearing some negative things from a supposed loud minority.
This guy took the time to type all this. It's kind of insane to me.
Why would you let a loud minority affect you? It just seems odd. And honestly, the loud minority has always been the activists on Twitter, the woke people, the people trying to push agenda and control what these games are allowed to do or not to do in order to serve their agenda. That's the loud minority, and it's been proven over and over again with games that try to cater to them. This is so obvious. I don't understand how anyone is trying to pretend like this is the reality when it's really the opposite. But of course, Stellar Blade's got an amazing thing here. Shift Up got an amazing thing here. And anything that they're going to be working on next, everyone's super excited. But Sony, what are we doing? Sony now remains committed to diverse and
Marathon
service games, including forthcoming Marathon and Fair games, despite...
Oh god, Marathon. If Marathon gets delayed or cancelled, I won't be surprised. After the stolen art situation, I wouldn't be surprised.
High-profile failures. Yes, they see what happens to games like Concord. They see how these live service games struggle. They see how games like Stellar Blade succeed. But they choose the wrong options. There's a right option and a wrong one here from a common sense standpoint. And they're sticking with Marathon and Fair games, which are going to struggle.
Just scrap Marathon. Like,
where you can just look at stuff.
Just scrap Marathon. It's just not gonna work out. Marathon's not gonna work out.
And say, yep, that's not gonna do well. And that's an example of that. That's what people said when they saw Concord, and guess what? That's what people are saying when they see Marathon and Fair games. And the fact they're sticking with the stuff.
Fair games.
But anyways, not to diminish the great
Fair game. What is that?
For Stellar Blade, but that's some of the other stuff going on and some of the people fighting back at the success of this game and trying to diminish it.
Oh, man.
But for now, it's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below.
Oh god, I cannot wait for the day that Stellar Blade 2 gets announced. That would be a good day. Dude, the fact that they want a mod to less sexualize the game. If you don't like how sexualized the game is, just play a different game. No one's gonna make a mod to make the game less sexualized. Good god. People are just delusional.